Welcome to Motorcycle Ways. Today we're going to change the rear brake fluid on the Honda CB500X. If you're interested in changing the front brake fluid, then I covered that in last week's video. But today we're going to concentrate on the rear. So let's get started. So here we are, ready to get started at the rear of the bike, and there we have our caliper, which is on the right hand side, which is on the same side as our brake lever, which is handy for bleeding the brakes. It's a one-man job. And first of all, we'll start off with our brake reservoir here. So the reservoir is just mounted on here with one bolt. So we'll undo that bolt and take it out because we have to get the cap opened first of all. So it's a bit impeded here by this plastic cover and the frame of the bike on top, as you can see, so you can't get down to the inside screw there. So we're just going to have to remove this bolt and move the reservoir out. So start with that. So an 8mm bolt here holding in the reservoir, so we'll undo him first. Just keep in mind, keep a hold of the reservoir while you're turning this, because these bolts can be tight sometimes, and if you just go to snap it, you could crack the plastic reservoir here, because it's just plastic and it'd be easy enough to break it. So keep a hold of it so it's not turning with you when you turn the bolt. And there we have it. You can hear that click, so it was tight enough. So you don't want to be putting the pressure on the reservoir by turning it around without supporting it, because it could crack, and then you'd be in a lot of trouble having to get a new reservoir and brake fluid spilled out all over the place. So that's that bolt undone. Now it should come out this way at the back of the bracket here. Yeah, so we have them out there. So now we have fair play at them to get to the two screws on top. So I'm just going to hold them there with a cable tie to hold them in place for the moment. So if I can get a cable tie in through the hole here and put them through the hole of the bracket, that might hold them firmly in place for the moment while I'm draining it. That might hold them up right there, stop it spilling out. So now our next step is to remove the two screws on top of the reservoir. Just watch out for that. A lot of the Japanese bikes has got JIS screws in them, which are slightly different to the ordinary star head screwdriver or your Phillips screw. It normally has a punch hole marked on the top of the screw if it is a JIS screw. So just make sure that the screwdriver you're using fits tightly into the screw and that there's no play in it, that you won't damage the top of the screw and have trouble taking them off. So that screwdriver fits tightly down there now. Otherwise you could be in a lot of trouble. Now that's one screw out. And the second one. There's our top cap. So you can see written on the top of the cap there, the use only .4 brake fluid from a sealed container. So it tells you what type of fluid to use. Always you'll find that on the top of the caps, either in the rear reservoir or the front reservoir. It'll tell you what, well, it's usually .4 anyways, but the information will be on there. So under that you have another white plastic cover and your black diaphragm. So that cover fits down on top of the diaphragm, into the diaphragm. So just check that, you see you have a hole there in the middle of that, in the center of that cap. Just make sure that that's not blocked, that that's free. That lets the air in and escape. And then the diaphragm, just check the diaphragm that there's no cracks or slits in it or anything. The way that works is when a vacuum is created inside in the reservoir and the fluid drops down, this will drop down also like that. It's designed like that to come out, as you can see, to fill the vacuum, to stop the air going in, and then when the fluid comes back, that comes back into place. So it can move about like that, the diaphragm, that's the idea of it. So just check to see that there's no slits in it or cracks or that, and that's in good shape. Otherwise, if there was damage on it, you'd have to replace it. So we'll clean that up before them put them back anyways. And there's the fluid. Quite dark in colour, so it is due a change. Be a small bit of moisture in that. So all we'll do now is drain out that fluid, because we don't want to push it down through the system and out through the caliper. There's no need, so we'll drain out the most of that and top the reservoir up with clean, fresh fluid. And then we'll start to bleed it through. So the handiest way to drain out the fluid, I find, is with a syringe. I just have a 60 milliliter capacity syringe there and a hose on the end of them to get down into the reservoir. And we'll see how this works. Yeah, that works quite well. I think we have all our fluid out there, or the majority of it is out anyways, so. So now we're going to top up the reservoir with fresh fluid. I've got Manol .4 brake fluid here. New container. You don't want to be using old fluid that's open and left lying around, because moisture will get into it. So you need fresh brake fluid when you're doing this job. And you can see the difference in colour in that already. That's clear compared to what came out of it. So at our brake caliper now, we're getting ready to bleed. So take off the dust cap off the bleed screw and place the 8mm spanner, tightly fit. Make sure it's a snug fit on the thing, that it doesn't slip. You don't want to lose grip and ruin the corners of the bleed screw, because it could be an all sorts of bother then trying to get it open. And just place the spanner down that way rather than up like this. It might be more in your way of the pipe. Place them down, facing down the way, so it's out of the way, because the brake pipe or the tube will be going on next to take out the fluid on top. You don't want to have to be moving the spanner. That's just our tube going into the bottle there with clean fluid in the bottom. I'm just going to place this into a tin can, to stop it moving around, because when the hose moves, it can knock the bottle over. So if it's in a can like that, it won't stir. So now the procedure is same as the front really. You press down on the brake pedal, keep it held pressed, open the bleed screw, close it and release the pedal. So we're pushing down on our brake pedal, we're opening the bleed screw close them, and release the brake pedal. And we'll repeat that procedure then for a number of times until we use up the fluid in the reservoir, and then we'll top it up again and do it again, and we will probably empty the reservoir about 3 times and top it up with new fluid. So that way we know that all the old fluid is flushed out and the system has new fluid in it. And we must keep in mind that we have to keep the reservoir topped up with fluid while we're doing this procedure, because you can see now it's gone down to the lower level. So if it goes down too low, it'll start to draw in air again and to the system, and it'll be going round in circles. So just keep it topped up with fluid as you're going along. Make sure the air doesn't get back into the system. So it feels like we have a pretty good brake pedal there now. It's fairly firm. I think we have bled all the air out of it and pushed new fluid through the system. So that's good. So now we'll just take off the fluid pipe again, carefully, keeping it raised at the top, and put all the fluid down into the bottle so it doesn't make a mess. So I'm just going to check our bleed screw now that it's tight, and yep, don't want to over tighten it. Could end up bringing it, so small bit of pressure on it just tightens it and clean any fluid that has leaked around it. And don't forget the dust cover back on it, cap. So now I'll just top up the reservoir with brake fluid again to the upper mark, or near the upper mark. Making a bit of a mess. So I'll go back on with our caps again that I've cleaned. There are 3 caps. You can just see the top cap. You can see a slight slit there, and there either side, just where the screw holes are. Well, that is to let air in. So when the diaphragm can move up and down, air needs to be able to get in and out through the cap. So that's what them slits are for. Just a slight bit of air in. And of course the air can't get in past the diaphragm then, so that's why it's important to ensure that your diaphragm is okay. And we'll place the cover back down. And back on our screws. Again, just snip them down gently. Don't over tighten them. And we'll give everything a wipe down. Just clean. Clean any fluid that's lying around there off it before we put it back into place. So we just need to cut the cable tie. Just hold them in place. And get it back into position. Back in behind that bracket again. That's where it needs to go. Yeah, slides in there, handy enough. Then you have a little bolt. 8mm bolt, holds them in place. Nip that up. Again, just hold on to your the brake fluid reservoir while you're tightening them up, so it stays in place. And that's it, snipped up. All back together. So there you can see a comparison again of the 2 brake fluids. The one on the right is the one I drained out of the reservoir, the old fluid, and the one on the left is new, fresh brake fluid. Clean fluid. So you can see the difference in colour. There's a big difference, and that's what happens. Brake fluid is what they call hygroscopic, I believe is the word, that it absorbs moisture from the air, and that's when you get soft, spongy brake lever or brake pedal. It takes in the moisture, and the moisture, of course, is water that has a lower boiling point than brake fluid. Brake fluid has a very high boiling point. So when the water gets into it, then it lowers the boiling point, and that's why you get a soft, spongy pedal or lever on your bike if you have bad fluid in it. So that's what happens over time. So every 2 years, they recommend you change your brake fluid on your bike, flush it out and put in new fluid. And that's the reason why. It can be absorbed even through the brake lines. The rubber brake pipes is the pores in them can absorb moisture, and as well as that, it'll get in through seals like in the lids of the reservoir and that over time, you know. So that's why it needs changing every 2 years. So that's, mine has gone over by a year actually. My bike is 3 years old and it hasn't been done so far, so that's the first time it's been done. So yeah, it's time to do it. And it will make a difference. When I done the front one there last week, I took it out for a spin afterwards, and you could definitely notice the difference, how much sharper the front brake was compared to how it was before. So yes, it will make a difference to your braking. So there you have the science part of it as well there now. So I hope that was useful now and that you could follow along step by step. And remember, if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can and to answer any questions in that. But just ensure that brakes are done right, because they're so vital on the bike when you're out and about. So that's it for this one, and I'll see you on the next one.